Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys, wherever you are in the world. This is question and answer number 4 for the Winter Copywriting Mentorship Program. So I'm excited. We are not quite halfway, but we're close, and it's kind of after the holiday season. I don't really count New Year's as a holiday, um, but we're going through the week 4 content and basically anything else you guys want to ask. So let's see, we've got 8 people here. Should be able to hear me, not quite see the screen yet. Let me know if you got sound, and let me know if you are ready to go and you got questions. Anybody can hear me? Check, check. See, we've got Arjan, Brian, Brittany, Cisco, Deborah, Michael, Miri. Awesome. Sweet. All right, so let's go ahead and bring on the main screen. Let me know if you guys can see the screen. You should be looking at the Facebook group with the Q&A thread. All right. Cool, cool, cool. All right, cool. And Brian, I see your question right there. So let's see. I got a request from Michael. Michael, you're on the call right now. You said that you only have a couple minutes. So instead of going straight down the line like this, I'm going to go ahead and answer yours first because you got to go, and then we'll answer Brian's, who's on the call, and then we'll answer Dan's because Dan is not on the call at all. So that is how we're going to get this out. If you got questions, go ahead and throw them up in the, yeah, no worries, Michael. I understand that. So if you got questions, throw them up in the chat, but I'm just going to go ahead and answer Michael Witkoff's, which is kind of going to be long. So basically, a couple days ago, Michael posted in the group that he had a conversation with a client back and forth, and he used the stuff from module 2, and he wants me to kind of review how that conversation went inside the chat, which is awesome. And it's going to take me a little while to read it. I'm probably going to read it out loud, but we're going to go through and we're going to see how well you did. Michael, just real quick, did this result in a sale or not? Won't be purchasing. No, he did not. Okay, really tight budget. Okay. All right. So let's see what we got here. So this is a conversation from the perspective of a person who didn't have the money or did not see the value enough to purchase. But we're going to look at it from that context and see how, if the conversation turned it that way or if it was just a bad prospect to begin with. Because sometimes it's hard to tell. Let's see. All right. Hey man, how you doing? Includes a screenshot of some Facebook ad results I posted on another entrepreneur's page in which I'm currently getting 5 cents per click. Saw this picture of your results on Eric's page. It's wonderful, man. Hey there, thanks. Facebook is very good to me. Okay. Yeah, that's wonderful. I can't say the same for myself though. However, I just started running ads about a month ago, but conversion has been really low and 0 sales. What niche are you in? I'm curious. This was sent in 6 different messages, and I've corrected for grammar to make this more readable. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, first things first. We got a very friendly outreach, right? Hey man, how are you doing? I saw this picture of your results on Eric's page. It's wonderful, man. Okay. Your response here, I understand why you did what you did, or at least the logic behind what you did, but if this was a prospecting person or if you anticipated that they might be, in line for your services or your copywriting or something like that, my question would be, hey there, thank you, I appreciate it. Instead of saying Facebook is very nice to me, I would say something like, are you trying to do Facebook as well? Or it's something to qualify that person rather than to let them kind of explain themselves. That's what I would do. Because you could have saved yourself a ton of time by having them qualify themselves first, then going through this. Because I don't know how long this chat took you, but in terms of attention and time, I'm sure it took a decent amount of time. Okay. You ultimately decided he wasn't worth pursuing further. Okay, that's good to know for the context. Okay, so that very first thing, if you're doing this in a prospecting manner, I would politely and professionally respond with something like, are you doing Facebook ads too, or are you interested, or mostly like, are you doing it too? You're opening the conversation, but you are specifically asking a more prospecting focused question than a, a conversation starter. Let's see. What niche are you in? So this is one of my red flag questions. Not that I talk about in Module 2, but I've got a list of, dozens and dozens of questions in my head. So first things first, I started running ads about a month ago. He's very, 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 very new. But conversion has been really low and 0 sales. Okay, and he has had 0 success whatsoever. Started a month ago, 0 success. But this question, before I even read this, what niche are you in? I'm curious. That popped out to me as a red flag, because the hallmark of a newbie is still believing that there's something special about what they are doing in comparison to the principles of success in any given endeavor. So believing that they're special, believing that they're different, believing that there's something, missing for them specifically is the mark of a newbie. And I would worry about working with a newbie at any level whatsoever, because number one, if you're brand new and they're brand new, they're probably not going to run your stuff. And if they do run your stuff, it's not going to get good results. And if you're good and they're brand new, then working with them and not getting any results is going to make your name less powerful, your reputation less powerful, because all they have to do is hop on a thread on Facebook or tag you or, talk about you in a private message and say, yeah, he wrote for me, he didn't do anything. So be very careful with jumping onto these kind of people. I'm very happy with teaching newbies, but I hate working with newbies. Does that make sense? Mike? Okay. So this question right here is a red flag question for me. Anything that denotes that you're going to be a newbie, or that this person is going to be a newbie. Let's see. Yeah, so that's a pretty good answer in response to what niche are you in. I wouldn't change that. Okay, so he's got a complicated project. He's got a complicated product with no sales. Again, another red flag. And it does everything. That's also a newbie trait. So yeah. His thinking is disjointed. No. Okay, so yeah, obviously he's angling for free work. I offer copied critiques as well as my actual copywriting services. Yeah, that's good. That was excellent positioning. Well done. Number of ways I can help. Which do you think would better suit your needs? Again, for practice, this is good. I like your responses to this guy, but on the flip side, he shouldn't be someone you're speaking with in the first place, based on just what we've seen in the first 2 paragraphs here. If you see someone, I always give someone a few minutes to try and see who they really are, and maybe they're just fronting, or maybe they're having an off day, or maybe they chat like someone who's new, but they're really not new. So I always give them a little bit of back and forth and try and figure out like who they are and what they do. But if they smell like a newbie to me and I actually verify that they are a newbie, the first thing I'm going to do is get them off the hook and basically say, hey, yeah, it looks like you've got a lot of stuff that you're working on right now. I would highly recommend you go check out this book or this page or this article or something like that. I think that's going to be right up your alley and really help you out a lot. And then that dismisses them. If they continue coming back, then what I typically do is drop a massive price, and that usually scares them away. So, massive price meaning probably something that I wouldn't even charge for my work. So that usually makes them go away, if they won't go away from the first thing. And best case scenario, you drop a massive price and they're like, okay, let's do it. And you're like, oh, all right. Let's see. To be honest, I think both of those skills. So yeah, let's see. Fuck that. Everybody watching this, if a client says this to you, fuck that. Yeah. Yeah, no. So let's see. So yeah, you're going about this conversation the right way, and it's good practice, but you shouldn't have been talking to him in the first place. Does that make sense, Michael? Unless you did this conversation just for practice, which is fine. I think your responses are fine, and the conversation is fine. But the guy is asking for free work and not willing to pay, and multiple times have not been willing to pay. Like, you can close people like this, and you can sometimes even sell them on bigger ticket jobs. But at the end of the day, your reputation is worth more than the money every single time. And when this guy doesn't get results, because you're going to hand him copy that is excellent if he pays you the full amount for it, and he's not going to do anything with it, then that hits on your reputation, not his. Now he's paid you and you delivered something that wasn't worth something to him simply because he didn't use it. And now you've got an argument. Yeah, either one of those. Okay, so Michael said I couldn't tell whether he was just trying to hustle for a low price but willing to pay in the end, or if I won, or just cheap and unwilling to pay. Both of those types of clients are worthless, or prospects. Both of them are worthless. Don't work with either of those types of people. If you're trying to get higher ticket fees, especially, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that's why you came into this course, right? You wanted to start charging higher fees. Then you should automatically be filtering 90% of the people who come to you, because most of them will not pay higher fees. And a person who says, where is it? What niche are you in? Is not going to pay you $15,000 to $25,000 for a project, guaranteed, because he doesn't give a shit what niche you're in if he's making enough money to pay those fees. What he cares about is, do you have experience in his niche? And he would ask that. Or he would say, have you worked with anybody in this niche, or that sort of thing. The high rollers are going to be a completely different conversation. So let's see, what would be an ideal first question asked to qualify for a potential high ticket prospect? So right here, when he reached out to you and you say, hey there, thanks, Facebook is very nice to me, I would say, hey there, thanks. The first question would be like, are you currently running Facebook ads, or something like that? And then when he responds with this, obviously he's not a player. And if you say something like, are you currently running Facebook ads, or how is your marketing going, or something like that, what he's going to respond with is more important necessarily than what you say. Because what he responds with when you first initiate then is indicative of his level of sophistication. So if he says something like, yeah, we have a LinkedIn product, and it's $997. We're planning for a launch in November. We just did one in April. And then you're like, okay, this guy's a player. I'm talking about a previous client of mine in that example. But then, you can go back with other examples, and they reach out to me and they say it in different ways, but basically what they do is show expertise with their question. They say, hey, we're doing this, or we've already done this, or these are the numbers, and they're not like, I have nothing going for me. That would be the best way to tell. So a question that asks them about their stuff is fine, regardless of however you ask it. It's their response you want to look at that really picks out a high ticket buyer. Let's see. I'm not really gonna keep going over this, other than let's see how you responded. All right, barely breaking even. Let's see. More traffic, higher conversions, more money, selling stuff through. So when you say, yeah, that's very true, and yeah, that'd be huge. Those are not commitment things. A lot of people think that this is a validation that they're going on the right way. It's not. It's actually a warning sign that you're going the wrong way. You want him talking. Like, as soon as he started giving you these shorter answers, like, this is a long answer. He likes to talk about himself. This is a long answer. He likes to talk about how he, can't pay for your stuff. But as soon as he starts doing shorter stuff with smaller numbers, you're starting to lose his interest because all he wanted was free work. And so now you're basically just wasting your time and his. Yeah. And now he's just being placatingly nice. So as soon as you start seeing these shorter answers, they're gone, or they're very, very close to gone. So also, it's easier to ask these types of questions of people if they're on the phone. If you're asking a type of question like this to someone in chat, it needs to be much shorter. So instead of, if you were to figure this all out for yourself, given what you've already spent learning, how much more do you think you would have to spend to get where you want to be, just in terms of money, not including time? That's a long question. You can say it like, how much is it going to cost you to figure this out yourself? Question mark, period, end. That's it. Like, shorter questions when you're chatting is better because it allows them to read it and then respond with their own long stuff versus actually like reading your long post and then responding in that way. Thank you, Edie. All right, and so we've got questions down here. So yeah, that's my feedback. Questions are, I think you did pretty good. There's certain things about high ticket buyers that you guys are going to learn later in the course, actually. Towards the end of the course, we'll go through high ticket lead gen, high ticket sales. So I will teach those things, which, Michael, is probably going to be highly relevant for you, but it is its own module because high ticket buyers in services in particular are very specific, a very specific type of person. So, but the module 2 content, I feel like you did position yourself well, but I think you kind of failed in the sense that this is not a qualified person that you want to have a conversation with in the first place. That's the main thing. So in order to not waste your energy or time, you must immediately sniff these people out and then get them off your plate. So, yep, I already told you. Yeah, he was never going to pay. He just wanted free shit, just like every other low ticket, bottom feeding parasitic person. What do you think I could do better next time? You don't want people to pay for cheaper options. Change that mindset. Okay? It's change your own mindset first. And we talked about this in module 2, but you also want, and we'll talk about this again in high ticket sales, because sales is like 90% confidence and then 10% actual understanding of objections and flow and how the conversation usually goes. So the confidence comes from your ability, not only in your ability to fulfill on the work that you're charging for, but the price that your work is priced at, the mindset you have around the entire thing, which is, I am extremely valuable, I am undercharging for the amount of value that I currently give people, and I do not have to work with everyone who comes in front of me, I only work with the best. That type of mindset is going to get you further and get you higher ticket sales than, all the great leads that you can ever get, right? If I send you 100 high ticket leads right now, without that mindset, you probably won't close any of them. All right, let's see. Yeah, you want to be very picky with the type of clients that you choose to bring on. And I wish I had done this earlier in my career, because I would be much, much further on than where I currently am if I was more picky in the beginning. I honestly feel like, in addition to not being further, as in like if I hadn't done it, I would be further. But I honestly feel like picking bad clients in my early career just for money or for expediency's sake or something like that put me back in a lot of ways. Because one of the things my mentor Ryan Lebeck said, that as an entrepreneur, and even as a service provider, as someone who does this stuff for people as a freelancer in general, the most important thing that you can cultivate is your confidence. You must protect and cultivate your confidence. And when you're working with bad clients who abuse you, or when you're working with people who don't value you, or when you're working with people who don't pay on time, when we're working with all of this stuff that we deal with as freelancers, we kind of take it as this thing that we have to do, but at the end of the day, we don't. We have the choice. You as the freelancer, you as the person writing the copy, have the choice to work with anyone on the planet. There's only one of you. And there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people who could potentially work with you. So this scarcity mentality of being a freelancer, of, oh, I got to get the next person, comes from a lack of confidence in the first place, but it's also a self-defeating cycle. Because you get a bad client, you get a bad result, you get a bad taste, you lose confidence. You get a worse client, you get a worse result, you get a bad taste, and you lose confidence. It's just this downward spiral. And a lot of freelancers stay stuck and bitter and jaded, and they share the memes on Facebook about how clients suck, when in reality, it's them who are choosing the clients that suck. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. Cool. Oh, right. Speak of the devil who taught me that. Popped up on the right. Okay, so let's go up here and check out, Brian's question. And then we'll go with Dan's, because Dan's not on live. Brian, okay, here we go. All right, Brian, you said on Monday, sometimes I'll spend 90% of my time writing a headline and a lead. What factors make you decide when to choose and stick with a certain headline and lead you wrote down? Okay, good question with a very hard answer. So what factors make me decide when to choose and stick with a certain headline and a lead? I've written thousands and thousands of headlines by now, and I've written hundreds of full sales letters and sales pieces and VSLs and webinars and all this stuff. I mean, so after you write that much, it's kind of hard to go back and pick out the stuff that makes me think a headline is good versus bad, or makes me think that in the context of what I'm looking at, it's good versus bad. But I'm going to try. But again, this is live. It might be something that I would have to actually sit down and journal about and really figure it out. So let me think about this real quick. A factor of a headline, I mentally run through my checklist of headlines when I think. It's, does it grab my attention? Number one. Does it grab my interest? Number two. Sorry, guys. We're on Facebook Live, so I get people reaching out sometimes. Does it grab my interest? And then, does it intrigue me? Those are the three things that my headline and then my lead have to do to pull me through. So attention, number one, right? Does the headline grab attention, yes or no? And once it's a yes, then I move to interest. With interest, I go, is this headline interesting right now to the target market I want to attract? And if the answer is no, then I got to rework it. But I also go back to attention at that point, because if I have to rework it, I still have to make sure that the attention is still there. So I'm like, okay, it doesn't meet that criteria, throw that one out, get a different one, right? And then, does it intrigue people? So attention, interest, intrigue, and I'll basically go through a bunch of headlines or ideas in my head, or write them out, or half write them out on paper and type them out, see how they look, bolded, underlined, with other letters and things like that. And eventually I'm going to come up with a headline that I really think is going to be powerful. Other times I will be inspired and I will write a headline that just hits it out of the park first thing. And that's just based on my experience. So for you guys who don't have the same amount of copy written, I guess, or that same amount of like underlying experience, the way I would do it is just run it through that attention, interest, intrigue, headline bracket. And then with the lead, there's, let's see. All right, see you later, Michael. With the lead, you still want to follow that kind of format, keeping their attention, keeping their interest, keeping the intrigue flowing. And to do that, I'll always refer back to golden lead or great leads. For examples, I'm umming a lot because I'm thinking as I'm talking here, so I apologize for that. The other thing I would do with a lead is always think of who do I want reading this and what do I want them to believe when they're done reading this. So who do I want reading it and what do I want them to believe when they're done reading this? And I do that by having the conversation in my head with them as I'm writing and trying to imagine their reactions as I'm writing to them. So if I say something in my copy and then I think about that conversation in my head and go, that person would probably check their phone as soon as I said that, or they'd nod, they'd nod politely and they wouldn't be leaning forward and excited to hear what I have to say and, waiting for every word. That's the difference. And so in my head, that's the easiest way to explain it right now. I bet you I could come up with a better engineered system if I thought about it for a certain period of time. Does that help, Brian? Perfect. So does that help you? Can you take that and apply that to your copy? That's the question. All right. Hey, Mike, I'm going to go ahead and, Mike Renard, I'm going to copy your question and put it underneath Dan's and Cisco's so that I've got that in one thread. Cool? All right, Brian, no problem. So I'm going to put this, and this is Mike. All right. All right, cool. So I'm going to go into Dan's now. And I think I'm caught up on the chat here. So cool. So Dan, question number 1. For last week's assignment, got a bit stuck on the research phase, couldn't find information, had trouble validating. Okay, so it wasn't finding, it was validating. Okay. Good. That's a good problem to have. Based on, let's see, young males 25 to 40. Okay. So they have an active interest in Bitcoin. They're driven by greed. If they're investing, I would say that's accurate. Obviously, we need to verify it. When you're writing this out, okay, so this is the target market you chose, right? That means you accomplished task number 1 of the big 4, right? You wrote out your target market, you've got your demographic, and you've got your psychographic information. Now, you've got your primal desire in here that we would need to verify, but now I've got a couple questions based on your target market research, right? Young males, 25 to 40. That is a big bracket. Who specifically are you talking to? 25, 30, 35, 40-ish? Like, that's a big, big bracket. A 40-year-old is not going to relate to a 25-year-old or maybe even a 30-year-old at this point because they have different life experiences, they have different contexts. So they're either starting to invest in Bitcoin or are seriously considering it. Okay, also 2 different types of people, right? A person who has bought their first Bitcoin is different from someone who has not bought their first Bitcoin. So now we've got 2 different people to start looking for here. And they're looking for a safe and secure way to get into any action. Okay, are you sure? Why? Why do you say this? And as I'm going through these target markets, these target market things that you're telling me, I'm asking why, and I'm asking how, and I'm asking how much, and questions like that. These are the validation questions, right? So where did you get this initial assumption? That's a question that I would ask myself. Did it come out of my head? Did I find it in the research? If so, where was it in the research? Can I go look at it and go, oh, that's the comment I saw in a Reddit thread. And the guy literally said, you know, I want to get started in Bitcoin, but I don't think it's secure. Where do I go? That would be a validation of your initial assumption, right? And then we look for more points of validation where another person or another data source is validating the information that you have. Again, primal desire before we fully understand what's going on, but we can kind of assume with investing there would be a greed component to it. So there's a certain amount of hope and regret involved, buying and holding. All of these things are assumptions that we would need to validate. So let's see what we got going through here. My assumption is actually looking some okay. All right, I'll answer question 2 in a second. So how do we validate? All right, let's just go ahead and validate your stuff. Young males 20 to 40 have started investing in Bitcoin. All right, so let's do this. That's not it. I want the ad manager. All right, well, we'll see if this pops it up. No, it doesn't. Why is it not popping up for me? It always does. This is annoying. All right, we'll just do this then. Where's my ad manager? Here it is. All right. Okay. All right, so now we're in the audience ad manager. Can you guys see it? Brittany cannot see it. Brittany can see it. Okay. All right. So let's check this out real quick. 25 to 40-year-old men who are interested in Bitcoin on Facebook, 73% of them are between 25 and 34, which is what I thought. So your audience of 25 to 40 is automatically dropped down to 25 to 34 because this is 75% of your marketplace right here. Now, let's see. I want to look at selected audience in terms of size. And I don't care about these comparison numbers, like I said earlier on this call, because we're looking for selected audience. How much of the selected audience is a career builder, single parent, you know, that sort of thing. So you can start to see that the market size, the components, 6% of your audience is an apple pie family. Again, ignore these comparison numbers. They're irrelevant. They're career building. They are solid single parents. They're raising grandkids, savvy singles. So there's a significant amount here. Now I want to test something because I want to go down to 34 and get 100% of this bracket. Now what do we see? All right, career building is higher, single parents, children first, lavish lifestyle. So a decent amount of money. That most of them are single, relationship, some relationship, very, very few married, some engaged. So younger, obviously. Most are college educated. I would say, yeah, most are college educated in general. You've got over 70% right there. Many work in construction. Actually, no, most of them work in production of some sort, which I would look for the definition of production, administrative, and management. Maybe some blue collar type going on here, some white collar, sales, transportation. So basically like normal ass jobs. And the pages that they like are Playboy. So there you go. That's the only affinity for these people. Locations, a lot in New York, a lot in Los Angeles, Chicago. So big population centers that tend to be urban. They are, and I'm going through target market and demographic data here, and then we're going to go back to your assumptions, right? 25 to 40, again, has already been kicked down to 25 to 35 because I just validated that. And a lot of them use mobile only. Many of them have some form of, again, they have an Android. 26% have Android, 29% use mobile web. So many of them are mobile devices. Let's see, they click on a ton of ads. They like a ton of pages. They're very active on Facebook in general. 32% of them make middle income, $50,000 to $75,000 per year. There's a higher comparison of lower income. So again, smaller audience or younger audience, slightly lower income. 62% of them own, which is very interesting, even though that's low compared to Facebook. 62% of them own their home, which is interesting for that age bracket, but I guess so. But they have a low market value, 200 to 500,000, and most of them are single. Okay, so we're looking at an urban person, an urban male, 25 to 34, who owns their own home, who works in a decent job, and primarily uses their mobile device, and we're starting to get an idea of who this person is. So are we validating these assumptions, right? I'm assuming that because they like something associated with Bitcoin, they are interested in, at some level, in Bitcoin, all right? But now I've validated my target market and demographic data. So what can I knock out here? Let's see. Not much, because a lot of this is assumptions based on your understanding or your assumption. Yeah. So let's see, started investing in Bitcoin. Let's do this. I know that just from experience, 25 to 34-year-old men are on Reddit. So I'm going to search Bitcoin. I'm going to look at our Bitcoin because that's the big one. There are almost 200,000 readers in our Bitcoin. It's not super active, I guess, but there are some. And so Bitcoin FAQ, newcomers, please read. Let's see what some of these upvoted posts are. If your government thinks it's okay to take your property without due process because you seem to fit the profile of a baddie, then you're probably living in a police state. Okay, so we've got a little bit of an anger thing going on here. 4-year jail term for possessing more than 10 old notes. Okay, so I can start to validate some of my psychographic data here, where it looks like there is a general distrust of the government, hyperinflation I see here, Italy, international politics is extremely interesting to them, monetary policy is extremely interesting to them. If you're looking for newbies, I'm going to click on newbies and see if there's any questions underneath here. There are. So, okay, keeping in context, I'm on our Bitcoin. I clicked on the Bitcoin FAQ, newcomers, please read. All right. This is a lot of the information that you could go to about Bitcoin. Coinbase, the thing that you would have been writing for this assignment, is the very first thing that they put on here for our Bitcoin. And then there's a bunch of other options for additional research in here. And then I go down, dumb question. I've downloaded this. It took me forever to catch up. Set coins to my wallet. Okay, so you're looking at people who are asking very specific types of questions, who consider themselves to be dumb or newbies or something like that. So keeping that in mind, this younger market who is demographically urban, with middle-ish income, they spend time on the internet on their mobile devices. They're obviously very active Reddit users given their demographic information. And now you're starting to see what types of questions they're actually asking themselves at awareness level 2, because they're actively looking for solutions. They're asking these types of questions. Bitcoin QT, I don't even know what that is. So we're starting to see other resources that people have posted that I can dig down into. SpicePay, local Bitcoins are selling under 900, no reviews, any experience. Okay. So not only are they asking, I've downloaded this thing and I'm having a technical issue, why is that happening? They're also asking, hey, I found a person who's selling Bitcoin at a lower price, are they legit? Those are the types of questions that your people are asking themselves for the level of awareness that your target market was at based on this assignment. And you see how I'm validating it through a source of other people's information. Reddit isn't one case, but there are other sources of that information. And it depends on your market, like, are they going to be on Reddit? Are they going to be on a forum? Are they going to be in the local area? Like, can you go to a coffee shop and listen to a bunch of them? Can you go to an old folks home and listen to them? I learned more about the 65-year-old male demographic sitting in a really shitty Italian place in Colorado than I ever would have learned on the internet, because I was listening to this group of 4 men complain about Social Security and the government and all the different stuff that's going wrong in their lives. And I can use those words in the copy that I write for them for any sort of financial or supplement copy that I have. I learn more that way. That's how you validate. Is this making sense for everyone? I need to get a temperature check of this because I kind of dove super deep. Okay, temperature check, good. Everybody says this makes sense. All right, so the question of validation is not so much I don't have a checklist necessarily. Again, in response to like Brian Mead's question, or in relation to that, I could probably make one if I sat down and thought about it. But at the end of the day, when you say young male 25 to 40 who are interested in Bitcoin, that gave me enough to go to here, right? Now, how do you get to young male 25 to 40 and Bitcoin? Well, probably your product. And as I was talking about, I forgot who I was telling you about. Maybe it was even a private message. If you're doing research for a program or for a client or for your own stuff, this is the direction. This is the checklist of research. I would say, first, research your product. Understand almost everything you can about your product. Then, look for your target market, because this is the first point where you have a choice. Because the target market can be multiple markets, as we've talked about in all of these weeks. You can have multiple target markets. You can have multiple subsegments of those marketplaces. So you have to choose at that point. It's a decision point. Then, once you've got that information, go down to primal desire, then go to awareness, then go to sophistication. But you can see how that linear thinking doesn't necessarily correlate with what happens on our Bitcoin, right? So what I would recommend is either having a notepad. I'm analog. I don't like typing in the computer, but if you're an Evernote person or you're some sort of digital notes-taking type person, if you're auditory, whatever it is, figure out how you learn best and how you process best and then use that. But I would recommend having a resource in front of you. I use a notepad, and I'm understanding that I'm looking for the big four stuff. I'm looking for things that I can find in the research that either give me an assumption or help me validate a previous assumption, and I'm writing all those things down in the context of the big four. Target market, psychographic, demographic, primal desire, primal fear, core needs, market awareness and what level they're at, market sophistication and what level the competition's at. How do I validate? How do I find it? So let's go through all four of the big four really, really quick and some of the resources that I would use. First things first, Audience Insights is a great tool for target market research, demographic and psychographic data. Reddit is I like using Reddit if you have a younger male audience or if you have a younger audience in general. I like using, I don't write for many women's products, but Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook groups are excellent for women's product research because they tend to be more socially interactive. There are lots of women on Reddit, don't get me wrong. It's just primarily men, younger men. So if you have a topic like, say, I don't know, give me a traditionally female topic, and I'll see if I can find something on Reddit. Traditional female. Makeup. Miri says makeup. All right. So let's type in cosmetics. Maybe? No, that's in Bitcoin. Boobs for Bitcoin. Let's just go to Reddit. Let's see. And let's type in cosmetics. Lush, cosmetics in general. That's a tiny community. Makeup. Let's see. Let's see. 12. Photoshop. No. This isn't working. You can kind of see how, you know, it is primarily men. Let's see. What else? Give me something else. Cosmetics is big on Reddit. I didn't see anything. Cisco, show me the link if you got it. Beauty? Beauty. Beauty, 30,000. And then a pretty girls thread. So you share pictures of girls. So yeah. I'm not going to find it right here. You can kind of see why I stay away from Reddit for female things. But Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook groups are excellent. If you have a woman in your life who can get you into a women's only Facebook group so you can do market research, that is absolutely gold, because you're going to be able to see all the things that normally us guys don't get to see, especially when there's, like, you know, women only groups. Yeah, so Brittany Johnson has never been on Reddit before this course. So let's do this. Makeup addiction. Okay, how big is this? 350,000. Okay, makeup addiction has a pretty big one. Oh, Tumblr is another one. Okay, so female products. Sorry, I'm punching myself as I do this. Instagram, Facebook groups, Pinterest, and Tumblr are primarily female, at least demographically. Now, obviously, you can come onto Reddit and you can see makeup, and there's also a certain segment of YouTube that has a ton of makeup tutorials, a ton of, you know, women who are commenting and asking questions and doing that kind of stuff. So there's lots of resources around there for all types of demographics. You just kind of have to search around if you're not intimately familiar with that demographic. So, okay, boom, target market done. Now the next one, let's go here. So the next one is primal desire. Primal desire, primal fear, core needs, okay? When you're doing your demographic and psychographic information, you're going to start to see things inside the target market that give you a hint of what motivates them. But now, if we want to, I keep clicking on that. Now, if we want to get an idea of primal desire, then we have to start looking into a little bit deeper research, which is when I can go into Google Scholar and find academic papers. I can look at psychological profiles. I can look at choice type stuff. I can look at anything coming out about cognition. I can go look up in Wikipedia. Oh, I can type. I'm a writer. Cognitive biases. So we can go here onto Wikipedia, and it's going to give you a list of, I think, no, where is it? A list. I want the list. List of cognitive biases. Okay. Wikipedia, list of cognitive biases, gives you around, actually, I know this already, there's 171 of these in here. 171 cognitive biases that allow you to kind of look deeper into the reasons why someone is making a certain decision. There are also some books that I can recommend. And those books I can recommend on the thread. Why don't I do that? So I can recommend You Are Not So Smart, You Are Now Less Dumb, both of those by the same author. Predictably Irrational, Predictably Irrational by Dan O'Reilly. And one of my personal favorites is The Forbidden Keys to Persuasion by Blair Warren. All right, this one right here is sort of kind of out of print. I think it's always available. You just kind of you gotta dig for it on the guy's website. These are very, very, very easy to get. A good primer on cognitive biases. Also, if you haven't already, go get Influence by Robert Cialdini. And he just wrote a new book called Persuasion. And that one is also excellent. In fact, I think it's even better than Influence after you've really understood the influence properties. So all of those things are good for understanding primal desire, primal fear, core needs, and basically what is really driving people deep down. So once you understand the demographic data and the psychographic data, then you've got a great place to start for your primal desires. Does that make sense to everyone? Temperature check. Temperature check. No? Okay. Awesome. So that'll give you a good idea for primal desires and all of those things. Now let's move on to awareness, market awareness. So market awareness is actually kind of a choice on your part as a marketer. Who do I want to speak to and why? So do I want a larger market that is harder to reach? Do I want a smaller market that's easier to reach? That's one of the questions that I ask myself for awareness level. If I'm trying to maximize my clients' results, I would prefer to first maximize the level of awareness that they are already at. Meaning if their marketing is appealing to level 3 and they didn't even know it, so all of their stuff is problem focused and not solution focused or local focused, I'm going to help them maximize their problem focused stuff before I jump them down to a level 1 who is like product aware and really get them some easy sales. If you want to really impress someone real quick, then you can get them some easy sales from their local market if they haven't been using it properly. For example, one of the clients that I wanted to impress a couple of years ago was a guy who had an email list of like 100,000 people, but he hadn't emailed them for over a year. He had kind of dropped off the map, both personally and professionally, and so he thought his list was dead. They weren't opening his stuff anymore. It was just bad. So long story short, I emailed his list and made him $200,000 in like 2 days because I told him how to do a little quick Facebook video and a really high ticket offer and combine those two things with a dead list to generate that much income. Because he was able to do a really quick offer to his list and say, hey, I'm rebuilding my company. If you want to go behind the scenes with me, then here's the price. It's a private mastermind, blah, 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 blah. And that was the offer. That was a really quick win. But the effect of that was thanks to the level 1 audience. He already had an email list who knew his name. You got it, Arjun? Okay, good. So again, first things first, if you're working with a client, my primary thing would be to maximize where they're currently at because they already have resources and momentum there. But if you need a quick win, then try to go as low on the awareness. Basically, the more aware people, but the lower number of awareness. So level 1, level 2, try to hit those first and then work your way up. And that's why I say it's a choice rather than a research component, right? You choose to attack that level of awareness because that's what you want. Now, market sophistication. Let's do market sophistication real quick, and then I'll get on to answering more questions. Hopefully I'm answering Cisco's and Mike's question while I'm doing this. Am I answering your questions, you two? Mike and Cisco, you're both here. Okay, good. Um, so, and I need to refresh this so that I've got the right questions on here. All right. We're still here though. Okay, and finally, so market sophistication. How do we figure out what market sophistication is at? So this is where I start looking at my competition. I use a site called SpyFu for initial research. So SpyFu is a Google tool that analyzes Google spend and SEO spend and all this kind of stuff. So if I wanted to enter a competitor's website, let's say I want to type in one of my old mentors and clients, Cultivation Group. I think that's their domain now. We'll see if it still is. I'm not even sure if this company starts anymore. Okay, so they do not spend anything on AdWords. They have organic keywords that they use. I can look for free at like 5 of them. Yeah, Robert Kiyosaki, stock market, gold, Doug Casey, some of those types of things, right? Seek to clarify, a little book of .com, elevationgroup.co.uk, Doug Kiesler, view all competitors. So I'm going to start looking at these competitors and where they're at in relation to them, right? SEO keywords versus paid keywords and all this kind of stuff. So I'm starting to look at some of their competitors, and now I can go look at these sites. I can look at them on SpyFu, and I can also look at them on the web and learn more about them. Okay, so I go here. These guys have different competitors. So now I'm getting an idea of what the competitors look like, what their headlines look like, what their marketing is like. They're not advertising on AdWords, but they do SEO. Now if I want to go to seektoclarify.com, I can click on that and it takes me to their website, and I can start looking at some of the things that they actually do. Okay, Think and Grow Rich, that's that one. Long form sales letter for Think and Grow Rich, very old style design. Got a little raspy there. Members, lots of different stuff here. I can get onto their email list and start looking at the types of emails they're sending, because I want to know what the headlines and how often they email and those sorts of things. So this is a good tool. SpyFu is another one. Keyword Spy is another one that you can use. And I can't remember if they were bought out by SpyFu or not, but this is another one you can do more research on. It's basically the same thing as SpyFu. You can pay for these if you want to, but you certainly don't have to. There is a site called SimilarWeb, I believe. Yep. I don't use this one personally, but I know a lot of people that do. Excellent for that. I think they might even take Facebook ads. But I use a different place for Facebook ads. So what I'm doing here, what my logic is, and the principles behind all this is, there are websites that sell you your competitor's information extremely cheaply. And you can go look at it and get the valid, up-to-date information on what all of your competitors are doing immediately. So that's extremely powerful, and that's a great way to start your sophistication. When you do that, though, you got to keep it with a grain of salt, because these guys are not getting the entire picture. They might not be tracking upsells and downsells and all that kind of stuff. One sec, guys. All right, sorry about that. My dog got sick. Hopefully I can cut that out of the recording, I think. Espionage, ad beat. Let's see. Yeah, I checked out for a second. I had to go help my dog. Sorry, Scott. Okay, yeah, so espionage, ad beats, similar web, spy foo, keyword spy, all of those things are all market research intelligence. Now for Facebook ads, this is a little secret weapon. You guys get it. I think I cannot even remember if it's 2Ds or 1D. I haven't looked at it in a second. I think it's addicted.io. I think it's 2Ds. I can never tell. No, that's not it. Ah, here we go. Okay, addicted.io. And I'm going to share this in the group underneath the research thread. This is a place that, again, keep it with a grain of salt. I'm not sure how up to date they are, but they tend to be pretty close, where you can search by advertiser, text, URL, and more for finding Facebook ads. It's the a Facebook ad gallery. It's up to date. You can search by keywords. So let's type in fat loss. We see Titan Medical Center and prove it for those words. Okay, let's talk in lose weight. Here we go. 26 matching ads. Custom body boot camp, licensed dietitians, a ad for Muslim, Beachbody is advertising. Okay, so we start seeing a couple people here, and we start seeing more ads. The more people advertise, it tends to be the better they're doing. There's 8 ads there. We can use more, more phrases, more advertisers. So like if we type in Beachbody, let's see how many we get. 66. All right. Beachbody Live, lots of stuff there. We got lots of different ads. Now, keeping in mind, the more you see an ad, it tends to be the more it was used, which means it was probably doing well, but keep that with a grain of salt because you never know if they were just dumping money into an ad for a long time and it didn't end up working. So keep that in mind. It's notoriously difficult to do Facebook ad research. So if you operate in one niche in general, I would make a point to follow and save and screenshot and keep a lot of the ads that you tend to see over and over in that particular niche. You should be following that niche. If you're like me and you're a copywriter and you're all over the place, these tools are really helpful for various niches, but you will write better copy if you focus on one niche specifically. Okay. So yeah, addicted.io is the one that I would use for Facebook ads or your own experience or like some sort of burner account that you make on Facebook where you don't use it obviously, but you go and like a ton of pages, post a couple things so they know you're a real person, and if you just like the pages you want to start to see ads for, and you start seeing things. So if you make a profile that's supposed to be like a copy of a 25-year-old woman, and you like a bunch of the pages that 25-year-old women tend to like based on audience insights, then you're going to start seeing those ads, and you can start seeing all of them. That's one thing to do if you operate in a niche for a while. And otherwise, because you can't have a burner account for hundreds of different things, but you can have one or two. Let's see, Cisco says, one thing in my question, do you prefer to start with actual research and find the demographic or start with assumptions and validate? Does it depend? Either. So that depends. That's a good question, actually, Cisco. It can lead into something I wanted to talk about. How do you choose a target market? Once you've got the product understood and you want to find the right target market or the best target market to go off of, my first reaction is to go, okay, who's already buying stuff in that marketplace? Who already buys this product? And I can literally type that into Google. Who buys CoQ10? Okay, who buys it? How do I choose by Consumer Lab? All right, let's see what goes here. How do I choose? Answer. Let's see. I can start looking at these responses and see who they are, what do they sound like. Let's see. Supplement buyer data. Let's see. Natural Products Insider, market data. Let's see what we got. Google is your friend, guys. Continue. Screw your ads. Healthy aging for seniors. Product design for the senior market. Okay, we're looking at seniors. Who buys it? Growing senior market. 75% of consumers will pay extra for clean label ingredients. Okay, good to know. Millennial moms. Seniors, boomers. Okay, so we got a couple different options here, all from, 10 seconds of Googling and some reading. Okay? So that's one way to choose. Another way is to yes, choose and validate, but I always try to err on the side of data rather than validation because humans are notoriously bad at actually validating our assumptions rather than just believing them and finding information that correlates with our belief. So if you don't have like the mind or the inclination to believe that you are wrong all the time and actually go out and find the real answer rather than trusting your own instincts, then you probably don't want to assume and validate because you're going to validate in a way that validates your own assumptions and not the real data and the real information. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's jump into some more questions. I know we're kind of over time. So, yeah, Brittany. Can we attempt to take it from 4 to 5? So, okay, this is kind of a two question. Brittany, if you want to take it from stage 4 to stage 5, you can certainly try. I will respect your ability to try if you want, and then we'll grade it based on that. Cool? So yes. Are you on the call? This is why I'm writing this. Oh, yes, you are. Okay, yeah, so yes, you can try. For great leads, proclamation lead work well in this situation where the market is flooded and we're using a mechanism that isn't necessarily unique. So first thing, yeah, it's not unique, but it might be new and different to the person you're marketing it to. For example, let me give you an example. And this is an old example that I like using because it's really relevant. When I think it was Ogilvy got the account for Schlitz beer. Schlitz beer was a normal-ass American lager, just like every other American lager that was made all around the country. And they were failing. They were having issues. But Schlitz beer brought Ogilvy on to try and increase their sales. And what Ogilvy did, no, it wasn't Ogilvy. Forget I said Ogilvy. I forgot the guy who actually did it. But basically, he went and saw that there was this process for making beer that was really interesting and intricate. And he started asking about the pipes and the quality of the water and the different types of things that you do. And the beer maker was explaining it, and it seemed obvious to the beer maker because that's what he'd done all his life. But the guy who wrote the ad came back and started making the ad about the quality of the beer, the quality of the water that they used to make the beer, the quality of the yeast, or the yeast that they used to ferment it. And it was all about quality. It was all about like the story behind how they made it. And that took off. It made them like one of the biggest beer companies in the country, even though that process for making beer was identical to every other beer company in the country. The fact that Schlitz Beer had the story in their advertising was more compelling than the fact that every other company already did the same thing. Because now Schlitz was considered the high quality beer and everybody else was considered the low quality beer. Because you can't have multiple high qualities, apparently. That's human logic. So that's one example of a shift. Claude Hopkins, thanks, Art. I knew it was someone back then. So that's an example of shifting from stage 4 to stage 5, hypersaturated to kind of owning the marketplace, but without a unique mechanism. Let's see, reapproaching someone. Yeah, reach out. Debbie? Yeah, that's an easy question. Reach out. I would politely but persistently ping him until he tells you to go away. That's what I did, and I pinged the guy like 7 or 8 times on Facebook, and this was very recently actually, and then he finally got back to me after like the 9th time and said, "Hey man, I'm sorry, I didn't see any of these. I only check Facebook like once every 90 days. Here's my cell phone number. Give me a call." So yeah, don't be afraid to keep pinging him even though he's not responding. Just be polite about it. You want to be persistently polite. Because they do get busy. I get, people are way busier than me, but I still get extremely busy, and that's why I have a lot of unread messages. Sorry, guys. Let's see. All right, yep, answered that question. Edie, this is your question. Okay, so would you recommend that I create a New Year's offer? I have demand, they're not your ideal target market. Okay. Okay, in a big meta consideration, taking advantage of something for quick money does tend to kill high ticket positioning, unless done expertly. So in general, I would say don't do lower ticket stuff if you want to do higher ticket stuff. Commit to one or the other. It's hard to do both. So it's hard to do both at the same time, I should say. You don't want to be a simultaneous low ticket and high ticket provider. Here's what I would do. Take every single request that you're getting for insights, book a 15-minute call with them, or whatever the shortest period of time is that you feel like you can make a breakthrough for them, and then record that call. Make it a stipulation of the call that you're going to record the entire thing, and at the end, you're going to ask them for a video testimonial, or you're going to ask them about their experience at the end of the call and record it and use it as a testimonial if and only if they enjoyed the session and they approve of the use of the testimonial. They can obviously have the entire session cut out and only use the testimonial because some of the stuff they share with you is private, but that's going to give you a way to get all of these insights in a short period of time and give you fodder to use for your high ticket stuff because you have this slew of video testimonials behind you that you can sell anything with. Does that make sense, Edie? Mic check. Cool. Yeah, do that. Or charge them all. $500 an hour or something like that, $1,000 an hour. And then watch all but one of them go away, and then that one hires you for a year's worth of weekly coaching or something. Who knows? Yeah, gotta value your time. I wouldn't charge by the hour, but if that's what they want, if they want 1 hour, then charge them $1,000. Cool. All right, we're done. Those are the questions. Thanks, guys. That was good. I'm sorry for the little time lapse when my dog was sick. But it looks like we got some good stuff out of this one. Was this helpful, everyone? Mic check. Temperature check. Who got something from this? Awesome. Good. Cool. All right, I am validated. I've been validated. I appreciate that. Okay, guys. So brain is burning. I think that's a good thing. So let's see. Okay, so I'm glad the research thing was valuable for you guys. I'm getting a lot of questions on research in general, so that's really important for me to get feedback on. I'm glad you guys got something from it and all those resources. Keep in mind those resources are they're tech companies. They they go up and down. They're good and bad. The principle behind it is that there are resources out there for you to use, and you just got to go looking for them. Usually, if you ask Google, there's a lot of answers. But there's also other resources, like I showed you, that might not automatically pop up or pop right into mind. So yeah, with that, I think we're done. Thank you all for attending. I appreciate it. I will, your assignments are due on Friday evening as per usual. We'll have the hot seat again on Monday. If you have questions for me, post them into the group, and we'll try to get them answered in a timely manner. And I certainly appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Cool. Yeah, have a good one, guys. See you in the group. Bye-bye.